Let's face it, squeezing yourself into a black rubber suit in the blistering tropical sun is not anyone's idea of a good time. In the Caribbean, most first-time divers are hesitant to wear a suit. The water feels so warm that they cannot imagine becoming chilled during a dive. Yet, water conducts heat away from the body, about 20 times more than air. For example, 25 degrees Celsius may seem balmy, or even hot, but 25 degrees Celsius in water will eventually cool you. Who does not wear a diving suit? Any water cooler than body temperature has the potential to chill you and even induce hypothermia. Diving suits also provide a certain degree of protection for scuba divers from accidental coral scratches or contact with other aquatic life. Remember that while it provides protection, a diving suit does not give you a free license to touch or brush against coral or other organisms. Divers can usually do more injury to aquatic life than aquatic life can inflict upon divers. Hi, I'm Adam from Live Views. Welcome to our YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about diving suits. If you enjoyed the video and want to help us out, make sure you give us a thumbs up and you can always subscribe. So with that being said, let's get into it. Diving suits is kind of very important when it comes to scuba diving. There are two famous types of scuba diver suits. Number one, the wetsuit. And number two, the Drysuit. We will cover the wetsuit deeply because it's the most common between the beginner. Wetsuits trap a thin layer of water against your body. While you still get wet, your body rapidly heats up the thin layer of water trapped against your body. The water inside your suit rises nearly to body temperature. If the suit fits properly, the warm layer of water does not circulate away from your body. So how does a wetsuit make it possible for your body to heat up the water filling your suit? Wetsuits have slow heat loss due to a thick layer of rubber neoprene filled with tiny air bubbles. The insulating properties of the rubber or bubble combination reduce heat loss from the water in the wetsuit and therefore your body. The thicker and more insulating the wetsuit, the less heat loss you will experience. The better the fit, the less water will circulate out and be replaced by cool water that will need to be reheated by your body. So wetsuit fit and thickness work together to keep you warm underwater. This does not mean you are 100% isolated from the water though. Wetsuits are not perfect. The warm layer of water trapped against your skin still conducts some heat away from your body and it loses some of its warmth through the neoprene wetsuit. But this process, given enough time for you underwater, become not chilled, but this is dependent on the type and characteristics of this wetsuit. In cold temperatures or on a very long dive, a wetsuit may not be sufficient to keep you warm, and a dry suit may be more appropriate choice. There are a few simple facts about wetsuits that will help you select your first wetsuit. Number one, the tighter the wetsuit, the warmer you'll be. As we said earlier, a wetsuit keeps you warm by trapping water inside the suit. A comfortably tight suit will more effectively trap and hold water against your skin than a loose suit. A wetsuit that does not fit will allow cold water to circulate into the suit, which will cause you to become colder more quickly. Tighter is better, up to a point. A suit that is too tight across the chest will restrict your breathing, which can be uncomfortable and even dangerous. A suit that is too tight on the neck may restrict blood flow to your head, which can be dangerous both underwater and on the surface. A suit that is so tight could stretch the neoprene, and that will not be effective. Number two, the thicker the suit, the warmer you'll be. Underwater heat losses through the neoprene layer of a wetsuit. The thicker the wetsuit, the less heat will be lost, and the warmer you'll be. However, thicker wetsuits tend to restrict movement, so you'll be most comfortable choosing the thinner suit that will keep you warm in the anticipated dive environment. This is a chart that may give you an idea of how the thickness of a wetsuit goes with the water temperature. Number three, the deeper you dive, the colder you're going to be. The neoprene rubber in wetsuits is lightweight and flexible because it is manufactured with millions of tiny air bubbles sealed inside the rubber material. Because these air bubbles are completely sealed, the air inside them will expand and compress. According to Boyle's law, the deeper you descend, the more air bubbles compress and the thinner the wetsuit becomes. Because a thinner wetsuit is less insulating, the deeper you go, the colder you can expect to be. You may want to choose thicker wetsuits for deeper dives. Number four, the longer the dive, the colder you'll be. While wetsuits do help to slow heat loss underwater, your body still gradually loses heat over long periods of time. After long dives, you may feel chilled from the slow heat loss. Select a thicker suit for longer dives. Number five, natural insulation. While your natural insulation is not a characteristic of the wetsuit itself, your body fat will affect how rapidly you chill underwater. Very fit divers with a very low body fat percentage will get colder more quickly than divers with a normal percentage of body fat. Divers who have very little body fat may want to consider choosing a thicker suit than average divers, diving in a similar dive environment. Number 6. Short suits versus long suits. Short wetsuits expose your lower legs and arms to the water. Short wetsuits still help to keep you comfortable in warm water because they cover your torso. which prevents a great deal of heat loss. They are not as effective as long suits because more of your skin is exposed to the water, accelerating heat loss. A good wetsuit slows the heat loss underwater to the point that you remain comfortable throughout a dive. You need to consider wetsuit's characteristics such as thickness and fit, as well as the length and depth of the dive, when selecting a wetsuit for a given dive environment. Now moving on to the dry suit. Serious cold water diving is not for everyone. Most divers complete their certification course in a wetsuit and continue to dive in wetsuits even in cooler waters. However, for divers wishing to continue their hobby year-round or expand the range of their dives to cold waters, a dry suit is the only way to go. Dry suits are well worth the price and the minimal time required to learn to use them properly. For anyone who dives frequently in water temperatures below 10 degrees Celsius, using a dry suit will tremendously increase the enjoyment of your dives, lengthen your dive season, and prevent an otherwise negatively cold outlook toward local diving. As we said, water conducts heat away from the body 20 times faster than air. As a result, and with water temperatures that low, you must wear dry suit to prevent discomfort and, in extreme cases, hypothermia. As we said, wetsuits keep you warm by limiting your water circulation through the suit. A dry suit is a waterproof suit that seals a layer of air between you and the water. A combination of watertight zippers and neck wrist seals make dry suits relatively easy to take on and off. Because air conducts heat away from your body more slower than water, when you stay dry underwater, you will not lose body heat as quickly as if you were in a wetsuit. Air, however, is not particularly insulating on its own, so most dry suit divers add insulating undergarments to keep them warm in cooler waters. We will cover that in a minute. The first time you dive in a properly fitted dry suit, you'll be surprised at how comfortable you feel floating through the water in a lovely cushion of air. However, the fact that the diver is surrounded by air brings up additional considerations for dry suit users that wetsuit divers do not have to worry about. It's important to monitor and adjust the volume of air inside a dry suit during your dive. Just like the air in your body spaces and BCD, the air in your dry suit is compressible. As you descend, the air in your suit will compress and you'll end up shrink wrapped if you don't offset the compression during the ascent. During the ascent, a diver must release the expanding air from his suit to avoid an uncontrolled ascent. Dry suits are inflated using a power inflation valve. The disc-shaped valve is normally located on your chest and is connected to the regulator first stage by a low-pressure inflator hose similar to the hose connected to your BCD's power inflator. You simply press down on the valve to add dry air to his dry suit. Dry suits have a second valve for deflation, typically located on the left shoulder. You operate the deflation valve by positioning your body with the valve at the highest point and then pressing down on the valve to open it. Dry suit undergarments insulate you from the colder water. Unlike a neoprene wetsuit which compresses as you descend, dry suit undergarments provide consistent warmth as they do not compress. This is a huge benefit on cold or deep dives as you have the same level of insulation regardless of your depth. Choosing an appropriate undergarment for your dive is key and will depend on the temperature of the water. Many dry suit divers own multiple undergarments for different environments. These range from thin, moisture-wicking base layers to full bodysuits of fleece, down, or synthetic materials. Some undergarments are quite thick, so keep this in mind when sizing your suit. Note that dry suits can be used with dry gloves, under which you have the option to wear insulating wool gloves to keep your hands warm and dry. It's a good idea to take your dry suit orientation course. Doing so will get you comfortable in the suit faster than if you try to learn on your own. Once you learn how to use a dry suit properly, the number of dive sites you can visit and the diversity of experiences you can have underwater will increase. There is a huge difference between diving in cold water and being cold on a dive. With proper thermal protection and techniques, you should never be too cold underwater. So, wetsuits are simple and cheap in normal weather conditions. Not like Alaska. It will do you fine in your beginner course. For dry suits, basically, it's your only choice in below zero weather conditions. Plus, in deeper and longer dives, you need to think about a dry suit. Additional to that, you will not get colder the deeper you go, unlike wetsuits. Cons: for wetsuits, it puts a limitation on your time and depth underwater. For dry suits, it's easy to damage and quite expensive in comparison to wetsuits. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you in our next video.